Hi, I'm Mal, and welcome to another episode of MiniModelMakes. This is a very special episode. It's something that is dovetailing nicely into my ongoing video log or restoration of a high elf army that I am doing for the very old game of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, which is not with us anymore. But I'm doing this in preparation for hopefully playing Warhammer The Old World when it comes out. Really looking forward to it. So recently I bought or treated myself to a box set from eBay of High Elf Silver Helms. These are out of production, you can't get them anymore, and incredibly hard to come across still in box. They're getting rarer and rarer because they're not supported and they're not produced. So because I got them in a box, I thought I'd do a little bit of an unboxing video and step back in time almost sort of 20-ish years to when these came out. This very much is a misty-eyed trip down memory lane. I'll talk a little bit about when these came out and what was so groundbreaking for the time, and just go through the frames and show you why we were all very excited back in this period of the game. So I'm going to get that overhead camera set up and we will crack on. Alright, see you shortly. So this is a very special unboxing for me because it is stepping back in time approximately 21 years. This is the High Elf Silver Helms Regiment that I picked up from eBay. They are out of production, you cannot get them anymore, and don't I just know it trying to get these. I got them recently, it cost me about £50 for something still in its box. So because it's still in its box, I thought I'd do a very special unboxing of them and go through it, the contents and what it was like at the time and things, as a bit of a side project for the High Elf army that I'm building for Warhammer at the moment. So the High Elf Silver Helms Regiment came out round about, this would have been 6th edition of the game. 6th edition came out in 2000. It was written by the games designer who I thought was sort of the greatest, or which was Tuomas Pirinen. Apologies if he ever watches this video and I've just massacred his name, but essentially to me he wrote the greatest version of Warhammer, which was 6th edition. Really was amazing to play the game at the time. I think it was nicely balanced between scale and cost and rules and things. He was aided by Alessio Cavatore, the infamous Alessio, who'd started to write rules with him for Warhammer as well. And there were still a few people knocking about at the time, the golden age. People like Jake Thornton was still around then, and some of the others. So the Warhammer High Elf Silver Helms, as I say, they came out round about 2000. This box set is about 21 years old. And up until that point, the previous Silver Helms were, I think they were plastic horses but metal riders. The horses were very standard. Every army's horses were roughly the same, and they were covered in sort of the cloth that goes over them, the barding as it were. You didn't really see the horse. And you know, High Elf, Bretonians, all of them, all the same. And your infantry, plastic had started to come through. Plastic was coming through from the 4th edition of Fantasy, where you had the High Elves in the box set. But it was all monopose. People complain about monopose these days. The models were all the same back then. If you were lucky, the shields had different designs on and that was it. So you still had your High Elf Spearmen and Archers from the 4th edition box set at this time, and not much else. Everything else was metal. So as these armies were redone in 6th edition, loads of plastic box sets were coming out, and they were multi-pose and you could put them together, and it was really groundbreaking. It was an exciting time to do your models. There was loads of converting possibilities for it, which was great. The 6th edition box set was Empire versus Orcs, and it was sort of the first box set as well where like the Empire army, you got some infantry, but you got a cannon. You started getting some special bits and pieces in the box set. The Orcs had a boar chariot. It was a really cool set, really cool rules, and it was an exciting time to be in your Games Workshop store. Massive walls full. Each army had about 3 boxes, plastic core boxes if you were lucky. Everything else was still metal and blister packs at the time, but you started to get a choice with things, which was really good. So these models are about 21 years old. I'm gonna, without much further ado, go into them, and I'll cover a little bit about Silver Helms as I go along. But here we have the box set. It's still got that sort of 6th edition border around the box. These might have come out a little bit before, I can't remember. I'm really going back in the mists of time, I'm afraid. And there's loads of plastic in here. Absolutely loads of plastic. So you had 8 models in this box set. It wasn't 5 or anything like that. 8. The box set itself, absolutely beautiful art. I quickly forgot to go through. No instructions, because you got them on the flap of the box. That showed you how to build your Silver Helms. You got some nice artwork on the side, and then on the back you got a picture of the unit and the heavy metal guides. Look, elf flesh, enchanted blue, graveyard earth. So Graveyard Earth came out about 2003, I think. It was one of the new colours at the time. So this box set's a little bit after 2000. Shining gold, my favourite colour of the time, blood red, chainmail, codex grey for the horses. So we have our cavalry bases. They'd fit your horses into. As you can see on the horses, you've got the long stem there, which would fit into your cavalry base. You know how excited I am about bases if you've seen any of my other unboxing videos. So they're going to go into the box, out the way, and then we'll go through the horses. So yeah, Fantasy Battle, it was amazing. Everything was ranked up. Movement was king. The way you could move an army, try to outflank. I was lucky the store I used to be in at the time, where a lot of fantasy was played, there were some amazing players who really could manoeuvre their armies. They were quite devastating. There were some superb players at the time. And it was a joy to watch a game of fantasy and watch the movement and the almost dancing around each other they did before they actually got into combat. So I'm going to zoom in. There's a bit of variation in the horses. They're not monopose. There's a couple of different types, I think. We've got two different elven steed heads, trying to get them into the camera for a bit of variation. And this is where these stood out as elven steeds. They really did start to look at the horses and, as well as the infantry, differentiate the cavalry quite a bit. The Empire horses were different with a heavy barding on. The Bretonnian horses were amazing. I think they were the best horses going. With their little sort of shields they had just above the hooves, and the barding for them was amazing. But these horses, very sort of different, very otherworldly, very elven. So you had a couple of different heads. The tails are a nightmare because they slot. When you glue your horse together, there's, like, you can see a little circle at the back. If I can get two different, there's one that isn't quite on its thing. So the actual inside of the horses, you could marry up. You had the prongs. And before you glued them together, you'd insert sort of your horse's head and your tail. As you can see, you've got that little circle there, and the tail has that little spigot on it. You can just see that fit into there. Nightmare problem with it is, and you still get it to this day when you're looking for the old ones, the tail would knock off quite easily. So you'll find, as if you're looking to do a high elf army, you'll find loads of horses without those tails. The heads would clip in on a little hole there. They would go into there. So a couple of different variants with the actual horses, which was quite interesting. I haven't really got anything like that. As I say, they stand out as very elven with the barding. Very different. Amazing horses, really, for the time. What I'll quickly do is I've done a colour test. So this is the start of how it's going to look for the army. I've not finished this, but really nice to paint. Loads of character and texture to these models. That's just a bit of a tester that I'm working on. Next thing is I've got 8 shields. You're starting to get more prominent detail put into the shields now, and some plain ones. Really nice. Little clips on the back to fit onto the hands. And then you've got 2 repetitive frames. So I'm going to take 2 of them out of the way, because put them away. And I'll zoom in. So here we've got the legs and this armour for the elves. So you've got several there the same, and then you've got a slightly different one to go on your champion or your musician. You have the eagle feathers, which go on the high helm, the leader of the unit. Silver Helms are the elven nobility, and only the high helm, only the champion is allowed to wear eagle feathers. As a silver helm progresses and becomes a more capable warrior or vanquishes more foes, the Itheltane, the silver helmet, can become more ornate. So on here as well, you've got little ornate pieces which you can glue to the helms. And then you've got the swords, the horn for the musician, which is a unicorn. Really cool models. So that's the basis of that frame. And then for the next one, you've got some pennants here. You've got your elven style of lances with very distinct, flashy kind of heads to them, and the arms are there. Really beautiful models. You've got a few bits and pieces to glue onto the chest armour of the elves as well, and then some more bits and pieces to go on the helms to differentiate them all if you want to, or you could just leave the helm plain. Here are the actual heads. So you've got a bear head there, and then the 4 classic silver helm helmets, your shield arms there, and then here are the bodies, absolutely packed with detail. As you can see, you've got sort of these almost like nipples. You can put those little wings and other bits and pieces, you can glue them onto there to make your elf look slightly different. and a couple of different swords. One of them quite ornate if you wanted to give your champion a magic sword. But having these frames really gave you the opportunity to convert. So nothing stopped you having, if you wanted to do a high elf general on a horse, get a box of Silver Helms, give him the ornate sword, give him a different head or whatever you wanted to do. You could really interchange all the plastics together. Some of the metal pieces you could still mail order at this time, which was amazing. So you could order some distinct metal pieces that would actually, you could swap and change. Really was a converter's dream this time. I'm harping on about the old days, and I'm sorry about that, but that's why some of us are really misty-eyed about fantasy, and why people are so passionate about Fantasy Battle coming back as the old world. Yes, some of that passion is misguided at times, but I really do think there is some positivity out there which they can tap into, and I'm really overjoyed that Forge World are working on this, so my hat's off to them. I wish them well, and I hope it's a cracking game because I will want to be playing it. So they are the High Elf Silver Helms. They quickly go over them. They were the elven nobility, and they take to the field with these Ithiltane helmets. Ithiltane is Elvish for knight. And the thing with Silver Helms is they're very disciplined, they're very proud, they fulfil sort of a normal cavalry role. Dragon Princes would be heavy cavalry, Reavers would be light cavalry. Silver Helms are somewhere in between the two. They would be, I think in early editions they were light armour, went on to heavy armour as time went by. And you had the Ithilmar barding on the horses, which meant the horses could travel faster and further than normal horses with heavy barding because the Ithilmar is so light. So they were slightly more manoeuvrable than sort of Empire or Chaos cavalry, which was great. They had a good weapon skill. They were better weapon skill than a human as the average. The ballistic skill was the same. Strength and toughness 3 was very sort of human levels. They had 1 wound each and an initiative of 5. So back in 6 they didn't always strike first, which was a later thing in 8th. But they had a really high initiative. The lances took them up to, it was +2 strength back in 6. The lances had taken them up to strength 5 on the charge as well. And they had a solid leadership of 8, which was quite good. Elves were a little bit elite. They were better than humans, you know, on a par with sort of dwarves, chaos warriors, but they were sort of more fragile, which is what you had to look out for with them. So with cavalry, your charges, really, you wanted it to break the units. You wanted to try and move your cavalry onto a flank. Engage whatever it was with your spears. Get your cavalry round the flank, smash in at the side and really smash cavalry down. That's why movement was king in Fantasy Battle. So that is the unboxing of the Silver Helms and a misty-eyed look back 21 years. What I'll do is I'm wrapping it up there, and I will see you shortly. And that was our unboxing, special unboxing of the incredibly rare as rocking horse poo, High Elf Silver Helms. I hope you really enjoyed that video. For the older gamers there, I hope you enjoyed that little trip back down memory lane. Please leave some comments on the video. What edition did you start playing? What edition was your favourite? What do you hope the old world, when it comes out, will be? Would you want it to be near to 6th edition, 7th edition, 8th? Some of you mad people out there that collect old hammer armies will probably want 3rd or 4th. We'll see. Please leave a comment on the video and tell me why. Not much more to say on that apart from please like, subscribe and share. I'm just a guy doing his hobby in his little man cave. I'm not a big shop, I'm not a store, I don't have unlimited resources. I've got about 330-ish subscribers at the moment, and I am overwhelmed that people are following me in my hobby. It's amazing. It would be a dream come true if I could get more subscribers, and I mean, the future would be if I had 1,000 subscribers, it'd be awesome. It really does inspire me to do more videos. Thank you so much. I wouldn't get here, I wouldn't still be doing these videos without all your kind comments and your subscriptions and your thumbs up. So amazing. Thank you so much. And that's it. So I've got some more videos I'm planning to do today. I'm trying to do my video log on my high elves, and I've promised to paint a 40k model ages ago that I've still not done. I will be doing that hopefully today as well. So there's plenty of content coming from me soon as well. And not more to say except bye for now. Take care out there, and hopefully see you soon.